So we now have our support structure in place, and it's time to plant some of these trees. Now, this particular episode is all about planting as a cordon. Typically as a cordon you would have a 1-year-old tree that doesn't have any branches, but we have some 2-year-old here which are bare rooted, and we're going to prune these to suit. So it's going to look quite drastic for the first year, but ideally when you're planting a cordon you need to be going at about a 45-degree angle like this, okay? So what this does, it gives us a bit of an idea where we need to plant, where we need to dig our hole. Now typically we want our hole much longer than what we require, and this will give the root run some space. So I'm just going to dig this hole now. And we can literally come right up here to where this post is, take out any of these things. Okay, break up the soil underneath. And we want to be looking at positioning our plant at that 45 degrees like this. Now, there's a couple of things to bear in mind here, guys. On the plant here, we have what's known as the graft, okay? So initially what it means is that this part of the plant is different to this part of the plant, okay? This is a root stock, which for this particular variety is a dwarf root stock. What that means is that this tree is only going to get to a certain height. But the other thing it does is it makes the tree think it's a lot more mature than it actually is, so it fruits much earlier. The other thing about it is we can control the vigor of the tree, but then add the particular fruit variety that we require. So it's really important that we do not bury this area here. If we bury this area, what's going to happen is that roots from the fruiting part of the tree are going to form, and we can't control that, okay? So, due to these roots being a little bit deeper than I originally thought, we need to go down a bit more. Okay. The next step is we need to put in a support. Now, we're going to add a cane at the angle that we want, and what that's going to do, we tie the cane to these cross wires, and then with some wire, and then we will tie the tree to the cane, okay? But for now, I'm just going to get this in and tie it up. Bear with me 1 second. All I'm using here is a stainless steel wire. I'm not going to use this on the tree, guys. This is just for tying the cane to the wires. So we need 5 pieces, and it is quite a simple process. What I will say to you is, don't twist it towards the tree, because you're going to end up with sharp pieces towards where the trunk of the tree is. So when you twist it, bring it this way, if that makes any sense to you guys, so that the part that's twisted is not around where the tree is. And then it's literally just a case of pull it nice and tight where you want it, and then twist. This would have been a lot easier with the pliers, but I haven't got one with me. And once you've done that, just cut off those. So that's what we're looking for here, guys. A nice tight, it's not moving, as you can see, and it will show us all the way up here. Okay, so I'm just going to get on with doing that. Excuse me coming in front of the camera. So we now get our tree, and this particular one is a plum, and the variety is called Opal, and we lay it along. We take our tree now. This is a variety, it's a plum, and it's called Opal. The variety is Opal. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to sit this down in the hole right alongside this thing. Now, as you can see here, we have some branches that are stopping us doing what we want to do, and they're too long anyway. So the first thing we need to do is get our pruners, and we need to cut back to 2 or 3 buds and cut on a slope like that. Okay, ideally 2 or 3 buds will be plenty. Now normally, like I said, you would do this with trees that are a year old. Now we already have that 2nd year's worth of growth on here after I pruned it, and I'll show you that in a moment. So now that's in there like that, the next thing we need to do is tie it. And by tying it, we're going to use this wire and coated, it's a wire, but it's coated in like a rubber, and you don't need a lot for this, but we're actually tying now to the stake, okay, not to the wires. And it's literally just a case of bringing it around again. All right, any tying you do always goes on the back of the cane, so that it doesn't affect the wire. Now, I showed you that there, but what I want to do is show you something a little bit different. Cut yourself a longer piece. Okay, you can create a buffer between the wire just by doing this around, and I see a lot of people doing that. But if you do that, if this trunk tightens up, you really, starts thickening out, you really need to be on top of altering the wire, because it will cut into the trunk. I prefer to just leave it relatively loose there and just tighten that up on itself. After all, it's only there as a way to guide this tree, because it's going to be anchored into the ground anyway. We're going to do it up a little bit higher as well, probably around here. Right, and we will put one. Actually, I'm quite happy with where it was, but there. Let's see if we can move this branch around. Yeah, and that one. So this branch here needs trimming back. Let's see if I can put him around there. There we are, that's better. That's much better. Okay. And periodically, guys, we will come and check these ties and make sure that they are tied in. Now, all we have to do now is fill in with some soil. What I have in this tub here is some mycorrhizal fungi, and we're just going to put some of this over and around the roots. This will help give the tree a really good start. And then we just need to get some soil in on top of that. Try and work it down around the roots. Give the tree a little shake. It's really important that we get rid of any air bubbles, or air pockets I should say. Right, so we're up here on the graft, okay? So we just got to make sure no soil goes up that high. Just get that soil right down around those roots. There we are. Great. Right folks, so as you can see here, last year this was pruned because we had plenty of side branches. Now, when you have a 1 year plant, okay, you don't have none of these side branches, it's just a stem. And the idea is that we cut it quite low to create that budding out lower down. But because we already have that, I cut it up higher. And that's created off a new growth. So now what we need to do is tie that new growth in. So again, we're going to take a bit of our wire and we're literally just going to tie this new piece of growth in to the cane. Just like that. I will actually, that created a bit of a bulge. Let's put him back there. Let's put one in here first to support this one. And we will put one up here to support this one. What I will do with this one is we're now going to prune it back again. Now we need to come, if you look here, we've got a bud that is facing down and out, and that's what we did here. Unfortunately it grew slightly out, but that's not a problem. We were able to train it back. In. Now we're going to cut just above that bud at a 45-degree angle. What's going to happen here is this now, okay, will force all of these buds here to break, and that's what we want with creating cordons. We need all this now to bud, and that's why we cut the tip out, otherwise the tip will just keep growing. By cutting this tip here, all these buds now, further down it's already budded, okay, but all these buds here now will all be forced out into little branches, and then we'll take this bud here as our next leader, okay? But over the next growing season now, all these buds are going to break out into little branches. Any branches over 2 or 3 buds, we are going to cut back and to little stubs, and that's what's going to create this is what's going to create our fruit over time. So guys, that's essentially it. This is how you plant a cordon tree. Like I said, this year these are 2-year-old trees, these ones, but normally you would use a 1-year-old tree, okay, which wouldn't have any of these, and then you'd have to force these off. You can do it with 2- and 3-year-old trees. It just gives you that little bit of extra lead, because all of this, because when I did have them, I did cut it. It forced all of these side shoots, and then we've got a new leader now. And again, we've cut that, and we'll continue with another new leader right till we get to the top. We'll cut it off, and then that will give all the fruit that we require. Now, by planting as a cordon, you actually get more fruit in an area, in a given area. So what we're going to do is we'll just continue along this line now, putting in probably around 18 inches apart, another tree and another tree and another tree, right till we get to the end of this row. So there you have it, guys. We've planted 6 trees on cordons right along this one trellis here, and we've laid down some carpet. Now we're putting this carpet down. What this is going to do is going to stop any weeds. It's going to suppress anything else that's competing with these young trees. We're going to give them a good watering in, and as you can see, we put down some bark chip on top of the carpet, and that's just going to obviously make it look a little bit better. But it's just a case of cutting the carpet now around these, all the way around, bark chipping them, and this section is done. We've pruned them all. Some are much shorter than others, depending whether they budded out or not, but the 6 are in. And we're going to get on now to our next series, or our next sort of episode in this series, and that will be espalier. But we'll do that in the next episode. So anyway, guys, I hope this was of interest, and from myself and the team, hope you have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.